Hey guys!
Hello. All right, guys, welcome back to AxoSchools virtual science class. Today we're going to be talking about blood, but not in a creepy way. We're just going to talk about how it gets around to where it needs to be and makes its special deliveries. We've gone over the skeletal system and the muscular system, but without the blood in our bodies and its ability to get from one place to another through the circulatory system, the oxygen and nutrients that our muscles and organs need to work wouldn't be able to get there.
Right. So linked below, we have a vocabulary sheet that you might want to fill out as we go along.
A few weeks ago, we taught you about the muscles in our body. Then we told you that our heart contracts without us having to think about it, which makes it an involuntary muscle.
We also told you the heart is called the cardiac muscle and pumps the blood throughout our bodies, and the cardiac muscle does the most work of any muscle over our lifetime.
So today we're going to talk about the cardiovascular system and circulation. The cardiovascular system is also called the circulatory system, and it includes the heart, blood vessels, and blood, and all of those things make up the circulatory system.
You already know that the heart is the organ that pumps the blood to the rest of your body. It is about the size of your fist and is located slightly to the left of your sternum. So your sternum is right here, then your heart is about somewhere over here.
Nice, exactly right. We have to learn a little bit more about the heart and how it pumps so that we know what's responsible for getting our blood throughout the body.
The heart has 4 chambers, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, like the photo that Danielle's about to share with us.
Yep. The 2 top chambers are called the atria. They're referred to as the right atrium and the left atrium. It's important to know that when we're talking about the right and left sides, it's from the perspective of inside our own body. This is my right hand, so this would be the right side of my heart. This is my left hand, so this would be the left side of my heart. But let's take Mandy and her little friend's example on the board. So if Mandy walks up to her friend, which she can do because she doesn't have to worry about social distancing and 6 feet from this person that she has drawn, we can see her being face to face with this person. If Mandy was going to stick out her hand and shake this person's hand because they just met, which hand would she stick out, Mandana?
She'd stick out her right hand.
That's right, because in America, we use our right hands for a handshake. She would extend her right hand to her friend, and since that crosses over her body, that means directly in front of her right hand is the left side of her friend. So when she is opposite of that person, you have to think about what sides are on that person's body. The same thing goes for the heart and the sides of it. So just be sure to keep that in mind.
The atria are important to know because they get all of the blood that enters into the heart. They are receivers of the heart. So remember, the atria are on the top and they receive the blood going into the heart.
Yep. So the bottom 2 chambers of the heart are called the ventricles. They are also separated into right and left. So make sure you know which side you're talking about because it's going to become pretty important here soon.
The ventricles pump blood out of the heart.
And since the heart is so good at pumping our blood to everywhere that our body needs it, we need to talk about the pathways it uses to get the blood there.
The heart pumps blood through the network of pathways in our bodies called the blood vessels. You could think of blood vessels like the roads and highways to your grocery store. You leave your house, you go along these highways to the grocery store, and you do your shopping, then you come back.
Good. Yes. So our blood vessels are separated into arteries and veins, and we're going to learn a little bit about those 2 vocabulary words here in a minute.
Remember, these roadways in our body, which are the blood vessels, travel in one direction only. This keeps things going where they should be going.
So let's talk about blood vessels a little bit more. Blood vessels carry blood throughout the human body. The blood vessels are a network to transport blood to every place it needs to go.
Blood contains things like oxygen and other nutrients that your body needs to survive. The body takes all of these essential nutrients from our blood. The blood vessels not only transport blood, cells, and nutrients and oxygen to the tissues of the body, they also take waste and carbon dioxide away from the tissues and get rid of it.
Speaking of those roadways, with each heartbeat, the heart sends the blood throughout our bodies, carrying the oxygen from our lungs to every cell. After delivering the oxygen, the blood returns to the heart.
Once the blood gets back to the heart then sends it to the lungs to pick up more oxygen. This cycle repeats over and 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 over again.
That's right. So just to review, the circulatory system is made up of blood vessels that carry blood away from and also towards the heart.
And here's where the vocabulary words atria or arteries and veins come in. Depending on if those vessels are leading to the heart or away from the heart, they're called different things.
Atrias carry blood away from the heart, and the veins carry blood to the heart.
Arteries, and it makes sense that you said that because I also just said that.
Arteries carry blood away from the heart, and veins carry blood to the heart.
This is really easy to remember because arteries away both start with A. Then you can remember that veins carry blood to the heart, like T-U-V of the alphabet. T stands for two and V stands for veins. So the veins take blood to the heart.
And another way you can remember this is to put your hands together like this. This represents your heart. Now point your thumbs out like this. These are your arteries going away from the heart. Then spread your fingers like this. These are your spirit fingers or your capillaries, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And clap your hands back together. And those are your veins coming back. So everybody can do that. Arteries, capillaries, veins. Arteries away, capillaries, which you're going to find out what they do in a minute. Veins back to the heart. So you can do that to remember as well.
I like that. So speaking of capillaries, that's our vocabulary. Wow, that is our vocabulary word. Capillaries are very tiny blood vessels. They are so small that a single red blood cell can barely fit through them. That means that when blood gets to the capillaries, the red blood cells have to go through a single file line. The capillaries are responsible for facilitating the exchange of oxygen and nutrients between your blood and tissues. This is also where the carbon dioxide and waste are transferred from the tissues back into the blood to be delivered to the places that can get rid of the waste.
So to go over Danielle's example again, this is the heart. These are the arteries, right? Is that the correct one? And these are your capillaries. And at the capillaries is where all of the oxygen, nutrients, and waste products are exchanged between the blood and the tissue.
You're exactly right. The capillaries are where blood exchanges things to and from the tissues. Things are able to be transferred here because the capillaries have a thin, leaky wall, and it's also because blood flow is so slow there.
You know, when you take a paper towel and when you take a paper towel and pour water on it, eventually it soaks through. And if you start holding it up, you'll start to see the water leaking. That is basically what is happening at the capillaries.
Yep. You're right, because the big arteries leading to the small capillaries start to get smaller and smaller in size. And when that happens, everything slows down. When it gets to the capillaries and is leaky, then things like oxygen in the blood can go to the tissues and carbon dioxide from the tissues can go into the blood.
Yep. So now we know all about the heart and it pumps blood to our bodies. We also know that the blood vessels are the pathways through our bodies to get blood and nutrients and waste products where they need to go. But now let's go back to the 4 chambers of our heart. We have the right and left sides of the heart, but now we have to figure out where the blood is coming from and where it's going to in the body. I'm going to share a picture with you, but let's revisit the right and left sides of this picture. This picture is oriented like we are looking at another person. So like when Mandy walked up to her friend on the board and is facing that person. So even though the right atrium and right ventricle are on the left side of this picture, you need to think about it as if someone is standing right in front of you. Remember the handshake that Mandy did earlier? It would be like Mandy is looking at that person on her board.
Croce, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna add like another good way to like know if someone they're like who's right or left is if you're facing someone, pretend you turned around and started facing the same way as them. Wherever your right is where their right would be. That's normally how I do it. So
Yeah.
like if I was like facing Mandy, if I like turned around and faced the direction Mandy's facing, this would be my right. So like so my left side would be her right. I've gotten used to it now, but that's how I sort of learned it.
It's a good way to remember it, Croce. And you can kind of see too, just like the way that I'm sitting in relation to my friend. This is my left side, this is my right side. So just like Croce just explained, right and left. Nice.
Awesome. Karosh, will you start us off with the right atrium?
Yes. Let's start with the right atrium. Atriums are the receivers in the heart that the right atrium receives the blood from the body.
Oh, sorry. This means that the blood has no more oxygen because it just gave it away as it was going through the body. When you look at the pictures of how blood flows through the body, like the one Danielle is sharing right now, you can see that those lines are blue. Blue lines, or the blue color itself, represents the having
That has no oxygen.
No oxygen, yes.
Yeah. When it's blue, it has no oxygen, as Mandana said, but it also has the waste, such as carbon dioxide from the tissues that our body needs to get rid of.
That's right. From the right atrium, this oxygen-poor blood goes into the right ventricle, passing through a valve, which acts like a gate called the tricuspid valve.
The ventricles are the givers of the heart. So we have the atria that are the receivers, and the ventricles give that blood away. They give blood to either the entire body or to the lungs. Right now we're talking about the right side of the heart. So once the blood is in the right ventricle, we know that it has to go through the pulmonary arteries to the lungs. Pulmonary is a new vocabulary word for us, and it means having to do with the lungs. So remember, arteries go away from the heart. So since this blood is blue and has no oxygen in it, it makes sense that it would go to the lungs. Why do you think that is, Mandana?
It goes to the lungs so that the blood can pick up more oxygen.
Yep, you got it. After the blood goes to the lungs, the pulmonary veins bring the blood that now has fresh oxygen back to the heart. Remember, veins veins bring things to the heart.
This time, the newly oxygenated blood goes into the left atrium. Again, atriums are the receivers of the heart. Also, we're not having the best, we're slipping up with our words today.
We are.
I slipped up trying to say we're slipping up.
That's okay. We're going to roll with it.
It's Monday. It happens. So now Karosh just told us from the lungs, all of that blood that now has all this new oxygen that it picked up from the lungs came into that left atrium. From the left atrium, it goes through the mitral valve to the left ventricle. Ventricles are the givers of the heart. So Mandana, where does that left ventricle pump the blood?
The left ventricle pumps the blood really hard and pushes the blood to all of the places in our body, from our head to our fingertips to our toes. And sorry, my phone rang.
That's okay.
And then blood finds its way back to the right atrium, and the cycle starts all over again.
Yes. This is what we call a closed circulatory system, because the system is made up of the heart that pumps blood through the vessels to reach the tissues and organs, and then it goes back to the heart, and the cycle continues over and over and over and over again.
So what happens when the heart beats?
The heart gets a message from the body that tells it when to pump or move less blood depending on the needs of the body.
So when you're sleeping, it pumps just enough to provide the lower amount of oxygen needed by our body at rest. But when you're exercising, the heart pumps faster so that our muscles get more oxygen and can work harder.
Yeah. How the heart beats is actually controlled by a system of electrical signals in the heart. There is a small node or area of tissue in the right atrium that's called the sinoatrial node, and it sends out an electrical signal to start the contracting of the heart muscle. This makes the heart pump.
And this node is called the pacemaker of the heart because it actually sets the rate of your heartbeat and tells the rest of the heart tissue to contract in its rhythm.
It's like a dance that happens every time our heart beats.
Yep, these electrical signals make the atria contract first, and then they travel down to another node for the ventricles called the atrioventricular node, or AV node.
From here, the electrical signal travels through the right and left ventricles, making them contract.
I didn't realize it was my turn. So every beat of our heart is a special dance that allows for the contracting of the heart to pump the blood to the body and lungs, and the relaxation of the heart to fill all four chambers with blood so that it can pump again.
When your heart pumps blood through your arteries, it creates a pulse, which will give you a number as to how fast your heart is beating. You can feel this pulse on the arteries that are close to the skin's surface, like the side of your neck or your wrist below your thumb. Try it out, but don't use your thumb because sometimes you can even feel your pulse there. So we're going to try to find our pulse. Everybody give a thumbs up when you have it.
Oh,
All right, awesome. We're going to count the beats you feel for 15 seconds. Ready, set, go. Stop. All right.
21.
We're going to record our numbers. What was yours, Crush? 21?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Danielle?
19.
19. Mondana?
22.
22. And mine was 17. Okay, so now we're going to take these numbers and we're going to multiply them by 4 because it's going to be beats per minute. So go ahead and take your number and figure out what that is times 4.
Mine is 84.
Nice.
88.
88. Wait.
That's me. I'm 19.
You're 19. Okay, so Mondana is 88.
Yep, I'm 76.
You're 76. And I am 68, right? Yeah.
What was your number?
17.
Yeah, 68. Dang, that's good.
Nice.
That's good.
Awesome. So we multiplied those by 4 because we were tracking our beats per minute.
So I want to review with you some of the things we have learned with a real world example to help you remember it. Let's say your house is your heartbeat and you have some money and that is like your blood. In your money, there are a lot of things like nutrients and other good stuff. You need to go to the store so you can get into your car with your money in your pockets, and you take some roads or highways to the store. What are the roads and highways representing? Manna, do you know?
Sorry for the loud noise, but yes, the roads and highways are your arteries. Your roads and highways are your arteries because they're going away from your home to another location. Sorry for the noise.
Yeah, that's right. So now you've taken the roads to the store and you buy what you need. You give your money to the person at the store. The store represents the capillary beds. You're exchanging your money for the things that you need to buy in the capillaries, is where nutrients and waste are exchanged. Then you get back in your car and you take the roads home. But you're not just using the same roads you take here, because then you might run into someone and get into an accident. So you take the same roads, but the ones going in the opposite direction. Manana, do you know what these roads from the store to your house represent?
They represent the veins because it's going back to the heart.
Yep. Then every time you need to go to the store, you can do this again. This is how the circulatory system works.
Nice, Karosh. That's a really good example. I like that.
Yeah, it was. Awesome job. So today we've taught you a lot, but don't worry, we've also attached a lot of activities to help you remember and learn all this stuff. So make sure you check out the links below. Don't forget to come back tomorrow so that you can do our fun activity where we trace our bodies, kind of like what Mandy has on her board. But does anyone have anything else to add before we leave?
No.
All right. Bye.
My favorite food is sushi.